School. Yeah. You counting me out. Now I'm counting the racks. Dark nights turn me into a beast. Had to level up. Had to rise above all that. Yeah. We outside. I remember cold nights. No lights. No sleep. Dreams so big. Had me staring at the ceiling all week. Everybody got opinions. Nobody wanna help. Everybody love winners. Nobody feel your help. Had to hustle. Had to grind. Had to sacrifice time. Had to lose fake friends just to finally find mine. Now the numbers are going up and the vision getting clear. Funny how they love me now. They was never really here. I've been moving through the smoke, trying to dodge every snake. Everybody got a smile to this money on the plate. I was fighting with myself. I was stuck in. What's up? Welcome to the Pot of Gumbo Podcast. This your boy Reggie Wells, and this is another edition of Dayroom Talk. Now, today, I don't want to argue with nobody, right? I don't want to revisit street gossip. I don't want to debate about who said what 30 or 40 years ago, right? Because that's what we ain't going to do. Not today, right? And not tomorrow. So we're going to continue this as in today, I want to talk about structure. That's the key to this. It's structure, right? Because one thing prison taught me is this. A man without structure will eventually become a man controlled by distraction. Because a lot of men come home from prison, but they don't come home with a system. They come home with trauma. They come home with pride. They come home with stories. They come home with reputations, but they don't come home with structure. And when you don't have structure, anything can be pulled off camera. Anything can be pulled off course. Anything can be promoted with structure, but perception and theory overrules when you cater to an element that don't even exist. A comment, right? This is the thing. A comment can pull you off a course. Definitely. If I make a comment, it'll definitely pull you off course, right? If it's negative, if it's positive, it's gonna feed you great energy. A rumor can pull you off course. A woman can pull you off course. An old street story can pull you off course. A social media post can pull you off course. That means you're free physically, but mentally, you still in day room. And that's what I'm trying to explain. The day room has its own rules. The day room had its own noise. Everybody had an opinion. Everybody had an opinion. Everybody had a story. Everybody knew somebody. Everybody was tough. Everybody had paperwork on somebody. Everybody had a version of history.
But the problem is, some men come home and turn Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube into the new day room. They sit around all day, argue about the past, debating who was real, who was fake, who was what? Nah, I ain't hear that. Who was solid? Who folded? Who told? Who stood up? But while they doing all that, they ain't building nothing. They definitely ain't building nothing. No business, no platform, no family structure, no financial foundation, no healing, no discipline, no legacy, just noise. That's all. Just noise. And I'm not saying the truth don't matter. The truth matters. But the truth is supposed to teach. It's not supposed to trap you. At some point, a man has to ask himself, like me. I ask myself all the time, am I building from what I survived? Or am I still living inside of it? At some point, a man has to ask himself, am I building from what I survived? Or am I still living inside of it? Because survival is not the same as growth. So listen. Survival is not the same as growth. Some dudes survive prison, but they, in some form or whatever stopped them or stagnated them, they never grew. Some dudes came home, but what happened? They never changed. They never changed. Some dudes got older, but they didn't get wiser. They definitely didn't get wiser. I'm saying they didn't get wiser. That's what we talking about. Some dudes get, or let me put it in these terms. Some dudes got freedom, but they didn't get direction. And that's dangerous. When you don't get direction, that's dangerous. Because if you did 10, 20, 30 years and came home with no structure, then the world can play with you, man. They can play with you. You heard what I said. They definitely could play with you. Social media. Now, social media can play with you. All right? Now, the news, everything, propaganda, it persuades your judgment sometimes and make us do things that's not permissible, but we got to follow current events, right? So these social media platforms and media, they can play with you. Your emotions, right? Your emotions, right? Dig this here. Your emotions can play with you, right? It can supersede your intelligence, and then you will be caught in the web of misunderstanding. right? Your pride can play with you. Yeah, your pride can play with you. This is why, and that's why structure matters. Structure means you wake up with a purpose. Structure means you know what you're building. Structure means you don't let every person have access to your energy. Structure means you know when to speak and when to keep it moving. You see? Leadership isn't, right, or ain't always about being the loudest man in the room. Listen, right? I'm about to tell you, homie. You just a little impatient. Sometimes leadership is discipline. Sometimes leadership is silence. Sometimes leadership is restraint. Sometimes leadership is knowing you could respond but choose not to because your mission is bigger than your emotions. That's where I'm at with it. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to pull into every argument. I'm not trying to relive every prison conversation. I'm not trying to sit on the internet and prove to people who Reggie Wells is, who I am. I already lived my life. Already paid my dues. Already stood where I stood. Now I'm building. And that's what a lot of brothers have to understand. Your story is powerful, but only if you use it right. That's the bottom line to it. Your pain can become your platform. Your time can become testimony. Your mistakes can become lessons. Can we agree to that? Your experience can become guidance for somebody younger. But if all you want to do is argue, then your story becomes entertainment for people who don't even respect your pain. Let's think about that. Okay. Don't fall asleep on that because I want you to think about that, right? This why, right? Dayroom Talk is not about gossip. Dayroom Talk is about growth. It's about what prison taught us, what the streets cost us, what manhood requires from us, and what we need to build now that we home. Because the real question ain't who you were in the yard. The real question is, who are you now?
Awesome.
That's what you got to look in the mirror and look at that reflection. Who are you now? Right? Are you a father now? Are you a leader now? Are you a builder now? Are you disciplined now? Are you accountable now? Are you creating something now? Because repetition without structure is just noise. You heard what I said. Because repetition without structure is just noise. And a lot of men are addicted to noise because silence forces them to deal with themselves. That's why some dudes keep arguments going. That's why some dudes keep old stories alive. That's why some dudes keep pulling everybody back into yesterday. Because yesterday is where they felt powerful, man. Yesterday is where you felt powerful. But see, me, it's different, right? If I couldn't solve a problem back then, I don't have time to go back and try to solve it now. So today requires some work, right? It requires bills. Today requires healing. Today requires parenting. Today requires patience. Today requires ownership. Today requires discipline. And everybody don't want that part. Everybody don't want the discipline part. So my message today is simple. Stop letting the day room live rent-free in your mind. Now, I'm going to say this again. Stop letting the day room live rent-free in your mind. Take the lessons or the lesson, but don't stay in the cell. Don't stay confined in that cell. Take the wisdom, but don't worship the pain. Don't worship the pain. Take the experience, but build something with it. Because a man who strived the system and survived it, you strived it, and we survived it, right? Should not come home and become a prisoner to distraction. This is Dayroom Talk. This ain't gossip. This is structure. This is growth. This is accountability. And sometimes the strongest thing in a man can do is stop arguing with noise and start building his legacy. So I'm going to say this one more time. This is Dayroom Talk. This ain't gossip. This is structure. This is growth. This is accountability. And sometimes the strongest thing a man could do is stop arguing with noise and start building his legacy. This is your boy RW, and this is Dayroom Talk. This is a Pot of Gumbo Podcast. No Smiles Allowed Entertainment Power Rich Media. Catch you on the next episode.